You do not get a second chance to make a first impression. Now, if you're like me, you've heard that phrase your entire life. Well, today I'm going to share how true this is when it comes to you collaborating with other professionals. You see, as a professional, you yourself serving property owners, you are this close to opening up a floodgate of opportunities, ideal client introductions from other professionals. However, the way that you are showing up in the professional space is holding you back. Today, I'm going to walk you through 3 areas in which you can enhance your first presentation, enhance the way that you show up to where not only will your clients see you as more professional, but the professionals with whom you could be collaborating and receiving those ideal client introductions will now trust you more and see you more as someone with whom they want to be collaborating. The late and great religious leader, David O. McKay, once said, "Whate'er thou art, act well thy part." Now, what does this have to do with today's topic? You see, if you are truly a professional who wants to collaborate with other professionals, you have to act the part. Now, this is fresh on my mind because this past weekend, my sweet daughter, with 3 of her other girlfriends, invited me and my wife to be the photographer prior to their homecoming dance. Now, you can probably tell which of these is my daughter. She looks a little bit like me. And as I was photographing them, I thought to myself, how interesting it is when we dress up, when we act the part, when we look our best, we have a different level of confidence about us. We feel different, we act different, and we give off a certain sensation, a certain air of confidence that is contagious with other people. My wife reminds me of the story that when she was in high school, she and her band were invited to go on a big trip to Orlando, Florida to see Disney World. Now, one of the things that was asked of them when they went into the park on a particular evening was that everybody had to dress up. They wanted boys in shirts and ties. They wanted the girls in dresses. And she asked, why is it so important that here at Disney World that we're dressed like this? And one of the school teachers confided that we know that when students dress up, they act differently. When they show up dressed sloppy, they act sloppy. Yet when they dress in their nicest clothes, they tend to be on their very best behavior. So we need less supervision because this dress code is going to do much of that for us. Now, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how the way that we dress causes us to act differently? Again, I'm seeing this as my daughter and her friends are taking these pictures. Now, you're going to see pictures, like lots of videos, pictures of them posing and having fun. But it was so interesting to me how they just acted differently and they had such a different level of confidence because of the effort that they had put into looking a certain way. Now, how does this apply to the principle we want to teach today, which is collaboratively working with other professionals in other industries? Well, it's very simple. You cannot be a professional, meaning even beyond a professional. You cannot be a true advisor if you do not show up like one. And you definitely are not going to be successful collaborating with other advisors, with other top professionals, if you don't act the part, if you don't look the part. So right now, we're going to walk through 3 areas in which you can very easily up your game and allow for these other industries to want to collaborate with you and the very best ideal clients to immediately give you respect and want to work with you as well. So the number 1 reason is your dress and grooming. Now, I know that most of us don't need to necessarily hear this, but I would remind you that during COVID, when we all were working remotely and near our own bedrooms, oftentimes people got to be a little more casual in the way that they dressed. It looked like they just rolled out of bed and put themselves in front of a camera. Now, I would just encourage you to think of it this way. What is the accepted standard for the way that my industry dresses? And let me step that up just a little bit. I found as a general contractor building high-end custom homes that when I had a button-up shirt that was tucked in, people immediately gave me respect. Now, I want you to know that I needed that because I was 25 at the time building $1 million homes. I needed something to give me a competitive advantage. And when most of those that I was competing against were dressed very sloppy, looked like they literally pulled their clothes out of the dirty laundry and gone out on a job site. Their shoes were dirty, their boots were muddy. Now, I needed to look the part in the sense that I actually look like a general contractor, but again, just a few little notches up in the way that I dressed and presented myself gave me more respect in front of the client and allowed me to even collaborate better with other professionals, aka architectural designers. And that was a competitive edge for me. Now I'm asking you as a real estate agent, you as a financial advisor, you as a lender, you as an attorney, what is it that's acceptable, right? And just notch it up just a little bit from there. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, hey, I'm on Zoom, so it doesn't matter as much. I disagree. I think it's important that wherever you show up, if you're going to be the part, act the part, right? Actually show up, get dressed, put on the clothing that allows you to not only portray the image that I'm a professional and I take what I do very seriously, but you yourself will act more confident. When you have groomed yourself properly, when you've dressed a little bit nicer than what is expected, there's a certain level of confidence that will come into you that will be exuded through the camera to the other screen. Okay, that's point number one. Dress and grooming, notch it up just a little bit. Don't make it look like you just rolled out of bed. Actually look like you're taking this very seriously. And guess what? People will start to take you very seriously. Number two, give people your full attention. I'm oftentimes leading people on trainings. Oftentimes I'm being led on trainings virtually. And I'll just tell you this, that in today's distracted world, it is so common, myself included, I'm sorry, to want to be multitasking. And I'm telling you that if you want to stand out, if you want to be a true professional, give people your full attention. The most successful people that I meet with, I can tell it right away because they are locked in. They are giving me their full attention. Now, they're also very selective in the meetings that they take, but when they take a meeting, they are where their feet are at. They're actually present. They're not glancing at their phone. They're not typing on the side. They're not kind of half-heartedly listening. They are there and they are present. And as a result, they are taken very seriously. Now, this also applies in in-person meetings. How common is it in today's world for you to be sitting across the table from somebody else and they keep looking at their phone? What does that tell you about how they might treat their clients? What does that tell you about how they might treat the clients that you introduce to them? It's just a bad image all the way around. Again, set up your schedule to where you have time to review email, to review text messages. And when you're with somebody, give them your full attention. The superpower of today is focus because most people don't have it. So if you really want to stand out, if you want to be seen as a professional, if you want to collaborate with other professionals, when you are present, give them your full attention and watch what happens. Now, the third thing that I want to discuss is your environment. Now, I've been guilty because I tend to share my car at times with teenagers that when I'm pulling up to an appointment and it looks like my teenagers have left their shoes and their cleats and it's a little bit dirty, I'm a little embarrassed, right? I recognize that my vehicle is a reflection on the way that I operate my life. I've actually been guilty of parking around the corner because I'm like, my car is not that clean and I know that this is a reflection on me. So I would ask yourself, look around your environment, look at your desk, look at your car. Would you feel comfortable if another advisor or an ideal client were to walk into your space? Because trust me, they're going to judge you based on your space. So it's important that you take a look around at your environment and really identify what can you do to be sure that you exude professionalism in every single way possible. Give yourself a competitive advantage. It's not that difficult. It's not that hard. You don't have to go to school for years or have all kinds of deep training. This is just very simple stuff that can make a very big impact. Now, within this same topic, I also want to talk about your digital space. My coach, Sharon Srivatsa, has shared with us is that just doing a Zoom meeting in its traditional form is not going to be good enough. If you really want to stand out, you need to learn to do some things different. Now, as I'm doing this, I want to share with you some of the things that I've done different in my office. You're probably seeing it already. Now, built into this same theme is how you're showing up in the digital space, not grooming, not dress. We already covered that. But how sophisticated are you when it comes to actually hosting a meeting? Think about the very nice conferences that you've gone to when they've got B-roll playing up on the video screen. They've got intro music. They've got multiple cameras, right? Think about creating a mini production with the trainings that you do, even the meetings that you do. Now, I'm going to share with you as I'm going through this, how I've set up multiple camera angles. This isn't expensive or difficult, but it allows me without interruption to actually create an experience where people can see a different side. They get to see that my workspace is not just some closet, right? It's actually a dedicated workspace. And now this allows me to really connect with the audience in a new way. It allows me to really say to people, I'm a professional, and that I'm taking my game to the next level. Again, all of these things, although ever so small, ever so slight, say something about you. Now, there's a warning built into this, is that I don't want you to completely spend months or years or thousands of dollars on this, okay? It's not necessary. But it is necessary at least that you clean up your office space, that you have a background that you've curated, that you have actually a presentation that looks and feels professional. Now, again, you might not need to do all the camera angles with the camera switcher like I have going on here, right? That might not be necessary. But what you might need to do is at least make it to where if people were to walk into your office, they see the fact that you are actually in position to treat your clients, their introductions, in a way that's unique and distinct and different and represents everybody well. If you'll do these simple things, I promise you, you're going to be acting the part and you're going to truly be standing out in a very crowded digital space and in a very crowded professional space. So again, in recap, I want you to know that the way that you show up in the world will not only have an impact upon the people that you are meeting with, but it'll have an impact upon you. Your confidence will grow the more prepared that you are. You'll feel like you're going to a really nice dance. You'll feel like people are fortunate to be in your presence, and they will be. And these 3 steps, number 1, your dress and your grooming, notch it up just a little bit, right? Number 2, give people your full attention. And number 3, create your environment in such a way that it exudes professionalism and watch professional opportunities for you start to increase.